Brianna. Welcome and welcome back to my channel. And today we're going to be talking about our divine feminine versus divine masculine. So we've been hearing a lot in the spiritual community about divine feminine and divine masculine and what those energy means. And today we're going to be talking about what each of these means. How does it react when you're overreactive in both of these energies, and how to come to a balance? Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is our divine masculine. Let's do masculine first. Your divine masculine simply is the energy to provide. That's it. It doesn't have to do with opening the door for a woman. It doesn't have to do with building a fridge or moving a fridge. It has nothing to do with any of those things. Divine masculine is simply the energy and the ability to provide. Okay? Mind you, these energies, you could call them anything. You don't have to call them masculine and feminine. That's just what we call them. So when we're talking about our divine masculine, it's quite literally being able to do the steps possible to get the things that you want. How to get from point A to point B. It's very, very logical. If I do this, I'll get this in return. If I act a certain way, or if I plant these seeds, I'm going to grow this. That is as simple as the divine masculine. However, because the divine masculine is to provide, an overactive divine masculine could be the ability and the pursuit to want to control. Okay, the want to manipulate, the want to not only just provide but also control. Okay, so when we're talking about divine masculine, as we know, we've seen some really good fathers and husbands who operate in the divine masculine. And what do? They provide for their family. Simple as that. However, sometimes you take it so far that actually, no, I'm the provider. I provide this. Therefore, I need it to act like this. I need it to look like this. And this is where a lot of people get tripped up, because this is not just men. This is also women. It's, I've worked so hard. I pushed myself so hard. So now all y'all must suffer too. That's masculine energy. It's doing too much. When it's overactive, it's too much. It's very loud. It can be very aggressive. It can be a lot to handle. It feels like stress. That's what the divine masculine, when it's too much, it feels like stress. It feels like anxiety. It feels like I always have to keep moving. There is an addiction to being productive. There's an addiction to overworking. The dopamine rush that you get when you provide for someone, and people be like, you know what, great job. And it's like, I want more of that. The issue, though, with the divine masculine is that it causes a lot of issues with the sacral chakra. So when it comes to creation, and when it comes to being able to be creative and letting yourself be creative and experience emotions, it blocks your sacral chakra. It also makes you feel like you are in survival mode, blocking your root chakra. And it's really, really hard for you to finally feel safe. It could feel like you're living in a state of scarcity. It feels like you're doing all of these things and you might not be getting anywhere. And that is the overactive divine masculine. Now, the divine feminine is very simple. The ability to attract. Okay? While the divine masculine is, this is what I provide on paper, the divine feminine is like, well, this is what I have. This is what I have access to. Like I said, you could call these energies anything, but this is a good idea of women get what they want. Are they working hard for it? Maybe, right? But they can also use their beauty, use their wits. They don't necessarily have to work 10 times harder, but they do have to think and plan and wait and attract. Okay? It could be being the type of person that naturally attracts the things that you want. You see what I mean? Like, it's not just, in the divine masculine is work hard. We're working hard. We're doing these things. We got to provide. The divine feminine is like, actually, I don't really need to work that hard all the time. Like, I can actually relax too. The issue, though, with the divine feminine is the overactive divine feminine looks like laziness. It looks like always waiting for people to do things for you and do things with you. You feel like you need that extra help to be able to do things. It's not a very independent energy to be in. It's constantly waiting for approval for other people to give you permission to do something, right? Because if you're naturally attracting this energy that makes it feels like you have permission to do something, you're going to be constantly waiting for permission. The divine feminine, when it's overactive, it could also kind of look like complaining. The reason why it looks like complaining is because it's like there's not enough action to match what you're unhappy about. And we all know those people who, and mind you, men and women, we're not talking about men and women. We're talking about these energies. So this applies to everybody, right? Even non-binary, okay? We all know those people who say that they're going to do something and then they're literally waiting for everyone else to be like, yeah, good job. And then even when people do that, they still don't do it. You know? And that is the overactive divine feminine, right? What it can also look like is really, really attracting bad validation from bad people. It can be getting easily manipulated because you don't have the action on your own to decipher and to have discernment. In our day and age, we see a lot of men acting in their divine feminine, right? They have, and which is once again not a horrible thing. They have people to support them. They have people that's going to take care of them, cook for them, clean for them. That is provider energy that is often provided for men. Meanwhile, we have a lot of women that are in their hyper masculine, which is hyper independent, doing everything and providing everything for themselves. But let me tell you the kicker here, guys. There's a kicker. You need both of these energies to be happy, okay? You need both of these energies to be balanced to literally manifest and get everything that you want. You cannot operate too much in the hypermasculine or too much in the hyperfeminine. You have to have a balance between the two of them. Mind you, if you want to have a preference for what energy that you align with most, that's completely up to you. If you are a man and you want to operate in the divine masculine, understand that you are also still going to need to ask for help, and you're going to have to be the person who naturally attracts people who want to help you, right? Because people who are hyper masculine and hyper independent, ain't nobody want to help y'all because they're like, y'all got it, I don't need to help y'all. Meanwhile, when we're operating in the hyper feminine, it's hard to do things for yourself. You know, you're so worried about everybody else that it's hard to focus on yourself, right? Meanwhile, we have a lot of women who are in their hyper masculine and like they're doing all these things, but then it manifests with health issues. You know what I mean? You can't do everything by yourself. You still have to ask for help. You know, not everything has to be hard. You can naturally attract things that you want. Okay? And the reason why we need both of these energies is because not only do we need to believe that we are the type of people who attract the things that we want naturally, and that attraction isn't easy, and using our skills to attract the things we want, which is feminine energy. We also have to take the actionable steps to do these things, which is our masculine energy, right? So as much as, you know, society want to be like, do this, do that, do this, do that, you really still have to balance both of these energies. You have to attract and provide. You have to have the ability to sit down and relax, reap the rewards, but also continue to plant the seeds in order to reap those rewards. I really, really, truly, and hope that this helped people, because I do think that we hear a lot about what we should be or how we should act, when in reality, as we know, those women online who talk about being in their divine feminine, they still had to work to build their brand and to edit their videos and to post them. For all these men talking about being in their masculine, they still had to ask help. Can I get some advice on this video? Can you help me edit this thing? People who are truly, truly successful have a balance of both. When it's imbalance, you manifest a lot of health issues, a lot of mental health issues, a lot of struggles, a lot of anxiety, when in reality, you need to be able to do both. Okay? So if you like this video, please like this video. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.